Welcome to our journey through the filmography of the legendary Harrison Ford, an actor whose dynamic performances have captivated audiences for decades. From iconic heroes to complex characters, Ford's work has left an indelible mark on cinema. Let's explore some of his most notable films, detailing their budgets, box office successes, and critical reception. Let's start with American Graffiti, released in August 1973. Although specific budget and box office figures are not available, this film holds a rating of 7.4 and an impressive 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a pivotal moment in Ford's early career, showcasing his talent in a coming-of-age story. Next, we move to Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope, released in May 1977. With a budget of $11 million, this groundbreaking film grossed an astounding $775 million worldwide. It boasts an exceptional rating of 8.6 and a 96% score on Rotten Tomatoes, solidifying Ford's status as a cultural icon as Han Solo. Now, let's talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark, released in June 1981. This action-adventure classic had a budget of $20 million and grossed $389 million. With an 8.4 rating and 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, Ford's portrayal of Indiana Jones became legendary, setting the standard for adventure films. In Blade Runner, released in June 1982, Ford took on a darker and more complex role. With a budget of $28 million, it grossed $33 million, achieving a rating of 8.1 and 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. This film has since become a critical favorite, known for its stunning visuals and philosophical depth. Next, we have Witness, released in February 1985. This thriller had a budget of $6 million and grossed $68 million, with a rating of 7.4 and 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ford's performance as a detective immersed in the Amish community showcased his versatility. Moving on to The Mosquito Coast, released in February 1986, Ford starred in this dramatic tale with a budget of $7 million. Unfortunately, it only grossed $4 million and holds a 6.4 rating and 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, yet it remains an intriguing part of his filmography. Let's not forget The Fugitive, released in August 1993. This gripping thriller featured a budget of $44 million and grossed $368 million, achieving a rating of 7.8 and 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ford's portrayal of Dr. Richard Kimball is one of his most memorable roles. In Patriot Games, released in August 1992, Ford reprised his role as Jack Ryan. This film had a budget of $50 million and grossed $179 million, receiving a rating of 6.9 and 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, further establishing his presence in the action genre. Next, we have Clear and Present Danger, released in August 1994. With a budget of $60 million, the film grossed $215 million and earned a rating of 6.4 and 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, continuing Ford's legacy as Jack Ryan. In Air Force One, released in July 1997, Ford played the President of the United States. With a budget of $85 million, it grossed $173 million, achieving a rating of 6.5 and 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. This thriller showcased Ford in a patriotic light. Moving to K-19, The Widowmaker, released in July 2002, Ford took on a dramatic role in this submarine thriller. The film had a budget of $50 million and grossed $35 million, receiving a rating of 6.7 and 58% on Rotten Tomatoes. In Hollywood Homicide, released in June 2003, Ford starred alongside Josh Hartnett. This film had a budget of $40 million but only grossed $29 million, with a rating of 5.6 and 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, marking a less successful entry in his career. Next is Firewall, released in February 2006. With a budget of $30 million, it earned only $19 million, achieving a rating of 5.6 and 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Despite its struggles, Ford's commitment to the role remained evident. In Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, released in May 2008, Ford returned as the iconic archaeologist. With a budget of $185 million, it grossed $786 million, earning a rating of 6.2 and 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, proving that his character had enduring appeal. In Cowboys and Aliens, released in July 2011, Ford starred alongside Daniel Craig in this unique sci-fi western. With a budget of $163 million, it grossed $174 million, earning a rating of 6.0 and 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. Next, we have 42, released in April 2013. This biographical film about Jackie Robinson had a budget of $40 million and grossed $97 million, achieving a rating of 7.5 and 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, showcasing Ford's ability to tackle meaningful stories. In Ender's Game, released in November 2013, Ford played a significant role in this sci-fi adaptation. With a budget of $110 million, it grossed $62 million and received a rating of 6.6 and 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens, released in December 2015, saw Ford return to the role of Han Solo. This film had a budget of $245 million and grossed over $2.068 billion, achieving a rating of 7.8 and 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, marking a triumphant return to the franchise. In The Age of Adeline, released in April 2015, Ford played a pivotal role alongside Blake Lively. With a budget of $25 million, it grossed $65 million, receiving a rating of 7.2 and 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. Next is Blade Runner 2049, released in October 2017. This highly anticipated sequel had a budget of $150 million and grossed $259 million, receiving an 8.0 rating and 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, further cementing Ford's legacy in the sci-fi genre. In The Secret Life of Pets 2, released in June 2019, Ford lent his voice to a character in this animated sequel. The film had a budget of $80 million and grossed $430 million, achieving a rating of 6.4 and 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. Finally, we explore Star Wars Episode 9: The Rise of Skywalker, released in December 2019. With a budget of $275 million, it grossed over $1.074 billion and holds a rating of 6.4 and 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, concluding the Skywalker saga with Ford's memorable return. And there you have it, a look into the extraordinary filmography of Harrison Ford. From his early roles to iconic characters in blockbuster franchises, Ford's legacy in film is truly remarkable. Thank you for joining us in celebrating his incredible career.